All right, let's talk about something that feels, well, completely impossible to most working parents. Homeschooling your kids while holding down a full-time job. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a total fantasy, but what we're going to do today is break down a real, research-backed blueprint that shows you how to make it a reality. So let's dive right in.
So, first things first, let's just call it what it is. The idea of juggling a 9 to 5 job and a full school curriculum, it just sounds completely overwhelming, right? If you're feeling that, you are definitely not alone. It sounds like a perfect recipe for total burnout.
But what if I told you the data tells a totally different story? What if, with the right system in place, this wasn't just, doable, but was actually a recipe for incredible success for both you and your child? Okay, let's actually look at some research because this is fascinating. The National Home Education Research Institute, or NHERI, has looked into this, and their findings basically debunk our biggest fears. So, number one, academic performance. Turns out homeschooled students consistently perform above average. Then there's the big one, the time myth. A parent's total hours available, not the strongest predictor of success. Isn't that wild? And third, these flexible learning environments actually boost engagement. So the big takeaway, the really powerful idea here, is that you don't need to be available 24/7. You just need a better system for the time you do have. And that right there, that brings us to the core aha moment of this whole thing. It's a complete paradigm shift. We've got to move away from the idea of just logging hours and start focusing on actual learning efficiency. Look at this. It shows the difference perfectly. On one side, you have the traditional school model, right? 6 to 8 hours of what they call seat time, super rigid schedule. But in this optimized homeschooling model, we're talking about 2 to 4 focused hours. And your role? It totally changes. You're not a direct instructor anymore. You're more like a system manager or a guide. And the main metric for success isn't time, it's hitting those learning goals. And this isn't just a nice idea, there's hard science backing this up. Check out this graph of the cognitive retention curve. What it shows is that our brain's ability to learn actually peaks in these short, intense blocks. You go too long and you start getting diminishing returns. Eventually, you just hit cognitive overload. So those breaks in between, they aren't just downtime. They're absolutely crucial for the brain to process and actually solidify what it just learned. So the fancy name for this is cognitive load theory. But all it really means is that the brain learns and remembers stuff way better in these shorter, highly structured sessions. So trying to copy a long 8-hour school day at home, it's actually less effective. It's all about working smarter, not longer. Okay, so that's the theory, but how do we actually do it? Well, it all comes down to this really powerful 3-pillar blueprint. Think of it as your daily operating system. And here it is, the whole system at a glance. The working parent's operating system. The foundation, like we said, is just 2 to 4 focused hours of learning a day, and it's held up by 3 key pillars. 1, time architecture. 2, creating independent learners. And 3, using what we'll call automated support. Let's break down each one. Pillar number 1 is all about time architecture. So instead of thinking about one long school day, you're going to create 3 smaller interlocking blocks. Think of it like this. In the morning, before you even log on for work, you have maybe 30 to 60 minutes for the big stuff, math, reading. Then during the middle of the day while you're working, your child works on their own, following a checklist. And in the evening, you reconnect to go over their work and answer questions. See how that works? Okay, pillar 2. This is kind of the secret sauce of the whole system, the independence ladder. I mean, research is super clear on this. Kids who can manage their own work do way better in the long run. So you build the skills step by step. You start small with short, really clear tasks. Then you move up to a checklist system so you're not constantly giving verbal instructions. And the ultimate goal? Self-monitoring. That's when your kid knows what needs to get done and only comes to you when they're genuinely stuck. That's the game changer. And finally, pillar 3. This is what makes it all possible while you're actually, working. The tech and support stack. This is how you fill that time gap when you can't be hands-on. You've got your digital stack, think online programs that can automatically grade work and track progress. And then you have your human stack. That's your community. We're talking homeschool co-ops, online tutors, maybe even grandparents or other family members who can chip in. All right, so that's the framework. It sounds good in theory, but what does it actually look like on a random Tuesday? Let's get practical and see how this all fits into a real, manageable schedule. Okay, here we go. This is the blueprint in action. Notice how there are 2 tracks running at the same time. You've got the parent's 9 to 5 work schedule, and right alongside it, the child's learning track is running in parallel.
So you've got maybe an hour of core work in the morning, then they switch to independent learning while you're in deep work mode. You can have a shared lunch break, then maybe some lighter assignments in the afternoon. The evening is all about that review time. All told, it adds up to about 3 to 4 structured hours, and it fits perfectly around a normal workday. And here's a really important mindset shift. Aim for a good weekly rhythm, not perfect days. So think of Monday to Thursday as your core engine. That's when you're focused on the core academics. But then Friday? That's your flex day. Use it for fun projects, field trips, or just catching up. This flexibility is a massive advantage of homeschooling because so much learning happens out in the real world, not just sitting at a desk. But let's be real, things are gonna go wrong. Days will be chaotic, and that's where this troubleshooting matrix is an absolute lifesaver. You can use it to diagnose the problem. For example, if you catch yourself trying to recreate a full 8-hour school day, the matrix tells you to pivot and focus back on goal completion. Or if you're micromanaging everything, the pivot is to build out that daily checklist to build more independence. It's a fantastic little tool to get you back on track fast. Now, this system isn't something you just set up once and forget about. It needs a little tune-up. We're talking a quick 15-minute audit once a week. It's simple. Step 1, check what actually got done. Step 2, identify the friction points. Where did things get stuck? And step 3, adjust the system for next week. That's it. This simple little loop is what keeps the whole machine running smoothly. So let's bring it all home. What's the simple, daily action plan that makes this whole blueprint actually work? It really just boils down to these 2 simple checklists, one for you and one for your child. For the parent, your job is to set clear assignments before your workday starts, protect your focus time, and then review progress in the evening. For the child, their job is to start on time, follow their checklist on their own, and save up their questions for that review time. When everyone knows their role, the whole system just clicks into place. And that really brings us to the most important point of all. Homeschooling while working isn't about becoming some kind of superhero who can do it all. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about doing what works. It's about leveraging these short, efficient learning blocks, building those independent study habits, and using the right tools. It's about being realistic and flexible. If you stick to this blueprint, you can absolutely build a system where both your career and your child's education can thrive, side by side.